Hey everybody, I am just going to be talking just for a little bit with every one of you. I run games, and for the past year, because of COVID, because of other things, I've been running games mostly online, and a lot of times I get paid to do it, but not much. So don't think that you're going to go in retirement mode for it. Mostly, it's to cover my expenses, because when you go into Roll20, if you're just doing Pathfinder and D&D, well over $1,000. Easy. If you're the GM, you're running a pro level, you're doing all the things that you need to do, over $1,000. I want to just talk to a couple people. I am not known at. You can reach me. I'm Grog on rpgadventures.club because I believe we're all part of a club. There's Discord links. There'll be other things in the bottom. Okay. One of the things I want to tell you about is that when we run Pathfinder, it's very different. The expectations from D&D 5th edition people are very different than those people that play Pathfinder. For example, in Pathfinder, there's no rolling dice. We don't roll dice to get stats. I mean, you can, but we don't do that. You build your character. In D&D, you get this mystery thing where suddenly, hey, how did all those characters come out with 16s or better at all their stats? Just that's one of the things. In Pathfinder, you get 3 actions, okay? So in D&D, you'll get a move action and you'll attack, right? So you'll move up and you'll attack. But you'll get, in Pathfinder, for example, if you have a 30 move, you're going to move, sometimes you can see people move 90 across the field, okay? Sometimes faster, and they'll be right there. Or the monster will be right there on top of you. 2 moves and a swing, and he's right there on top of you. If you stand next to an ogre, for example, in Pathfinder, well, you know, that's like 3 swings. Your character's probably dead. So you have to play a lot differently. Pathfinder, an example would be your shield actually absorbs damage, okay? In D&D, you'll get the +2 for your shield or whatever, but it doesn't absorb damage, you know? In Pathfinder, armor has a hardness level. Your armor can break. Your shield can break. Hell, your sword can break if things can happen. If you want to cast a spell in Pathfinder, you take how much time it's going to cast. It's going to be 1 action. It's going to be 2 actions. It's going to be 3 actions. Sometimes it's a reaction, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But one of the things that I noticed, right? Don't feel bad, no Nat. Extinction Curse does suck. It's bad. It's a bad idea. Stinky. Ooh. Nobody likes it. All those people who say they like it aren't hardcore gamers generally. And you might be one of those people that liked Extinction Curse. But generally, I had 12 groups that have tried to go through it. People that I play with a long time, they hate Extinction Curse. Okay? They hate the idea of I'm now running a business and I have accounting and stuff. And it's not very much into the game. Okay? So don't feel bad. I've run Plague Stone a lot. I've run Plague Stone, I would say maybe 20, 30 times on Roll20. I've run it more in different situations. Plague Stone is really good, especially if they're a first timey kind of party. Okay. Now, people say, well, what character should I play? When somebody says that to me, a lot of times as an experienced GM, people like to say, well, I'm going to roll up my character and everything. But realizing that my time is precious. We don't have time for silly things. So in the first time, you don't know what kind of character you have. I have this fighter. Valeros. Hey, Valeros. Come here. All right. You are now Valeros. Okay? Or Valeros' brother. Because fighters in the party are really good. Now, Nodat will say that it's his favorite class. Well, it's the linchpin. You need a fighter. You need a rogue. And you need a healer. Now, wizard. You don't play with the wizard, you're going to learn a world of pain for you real soon. It doesn't have to be a wizard. It could be a sorcerer. It just needs to be the crowd control. Because in a recent experience that I had, one first level wizard took out my CR rating 8 octopus by casting sleep on it. No kidding. Sleep. It was done because they were having octus kebabs shortly after that. Okay, because this was like a 6th, 7th level party. Okay. One of the things that you'll notice really quickly, there are in Pathfinder just about your power level doubles every single level. You might not think it does, but it really does. It doesn't matter what you are. Okay, it will double. It doesn't do so in D&D. When you go and say, I'm gonna swing, this is what happens. If I go and I swing with my sword, right? And I were to say, I swing with my sword, okay, I'm gonna move this way, okay, now you're done. Pathfinder. Okay, how many of them are there? Okay, each one of those guys can swing potentially 3 times. Yeah, okay, great. I'm gonna move up to one of them, swing my sword, right? And move away. And a lot of D&D people, but they'll get an attack of opportunity. Not necessarily. Because in Pathfinder, unless they're a way good fighter, okay, which is a first level fighter, you don't get attack of opportunity. Not every monster will get an attack of opportunity. So you have to be a fighter or a champion usually to get an attack of opportunity. You got to make choices to choose that too. But a fighter gets the attack of opportunity, and that's his one reaction. So you get a choice. Do I attack this guy, or do I hold my reaction to raise my shield? Okay? Do I put up shield block, burning an action? A lot of people say, well, I always do the same actions all the time. Only if your DM is an idiot. Only if your DM does the same stuff all the time. Only if he's not very creative. Because I'm going to tell you that four kobolds can take out 4 first level challenge rating 1 kobolds can take out a 3rd or 4th level Pathfinder party, especially if the GM's experienced. Now, I've only done this since I've been 11 years old. I'm not 11 years old anymore. Okay, I've seen all the nasty and everything that you could possibly do, but Pathfinder has been for me has been like maybe 10 years. Okay, but this new 2nd edition changes a lot of things, and you have to be cognizant of that when you're running Pathfinder. You're not going to be able to run your monsters the same because their monsters are on steroids. They really are. If playing intelligently, you have a lot more options and tactics, and you've got to tone it down sometimes when you're first playing in Pathfinder as a GM, because you will learn TPK day pretty quick. And what do I mean by that? Well, in Pathfinder, when you go down to 0 hit points, your condition is dying and you get wounds. And we can explain this in detail, but when you get 4 wounds, you're done. That's it. You don't get to re-heal from that stuff. Okay? So spend all your money, spend your gold, whatever. You're still dead as dead. Okay? And that's a really good thing sometimes because I know, I just took a grievous wound, 50 points to the chest. Well, just barely. Oh, okay. I've got some ointment for that. No, it doesn't work that way. You take serious wounds. Sometimes you're going to be pushed back. Sometimes you're going to be nailed to the floor. Because in Pathfinder, if you're a fighter, what you'll do is you'll trip the guy. You'll punch him into the wall. You'll do a lot of things. Then you'll take your first attack. Your first attack is on die. It's on even die. So let's say you have plus 12 to hit. You'll get plus 12. Then the second chance to hit, right? And unless you're doing second chance, it's at a minus. It's at a -5. Third is -3. So you might as well do something else with that third action. Sometimes, and I highly suggest this, move. Get out of the way. Don't just stand there and take the punishment. If you're a fighter, you might be able to do that. But honestly, using your tactical moving around the board will really help you, because what that does is that makes it so that the monster has to move up towards you. Using your fighter, you might chop some people down. I haven't had, there's 60 different classes in Pathfinder, so I haven't had every class played in front of me over the past, May last year. Yeah, something February, May last year. Yeah, it's been out about that long. Also, my book, my Pathfinder book, okay? This is what a really played Pathfinder book looks like. Look at this. See that? That means that you literally go through the pages. These books are not meant like old D&D books. They're really, I would say they're beautiful. They got great pictures, you know? Okay, I'm used to black and white pictures. I'm used to doing this with my old DMG. Like you kind of like hold it, flip the pages, and it kind of goes to it. It hasn't got there yet. And when I say my old DMG, mine has an Ifrit on the front of it. Some people think it's a demon. It's not. It's a Ifrit. Okay, holding the woman like this. Okay, all right. Now, when every little while I have to go replace it, because if I beat the crap out of my books, and I'm the GM, and I'm the GM most of the time, because it's very difficult for me to find people to play with that are on the same kind of thing. I go to conventions, I do all kinds of things, so I get to play for short periods that way. But people say, well, I could be a GM because I've seen it in the movies. No, you can't. How many? You just start counting. Okay, I've got these 12th level guys. I got these 20 level. When you really play a lot, right? It should take you a year or two to get your character to 10th level. If you're thinking about it, right? You get, for Pathfinder anyway, it's the experience points. You get 1,000 experience points, and then you level, and then you start over again. So every session, you'll maybe get 2-3 encounters, maybe something like that. Maybe you'll get 200-300 experience points. So you get to enjoy the levels for a while with your group. And then how do you know your group? Is by you meet with them, you talk with them. Even like most of the time when they're on Discord with me, about a half hour to an hour after the session, everybody gets together and says, okay, this is what happened. This is what we did. They are almost professional about this. All right. And they talk about, well, I went in this way, you went in that way. This is a flanking maneuver. By the way, flanking is very different in Pathfinder too. So you don't really roll with advantage. Okay. The closest thing that you can roll with advantage is you get a hero point. And the hero point is based on this. I screw up and I roll a hero point. Oh crap. I got a 10. Okay, now I'm going to burn a hero point because that's not a make. Oh no, I roll a 3. Well, you have to stick with that 3. Yeah. So the monsters have different abilities. For example, a giant ant in Pathfinder. You play with me sometime, and there'll be opportunities to play with us. And it's only like $10 usually, sometimes 15, but whatever. Anyway, so if you play with us, and mostly that's so that you donate a book or something to the group over time, because this it's like $30. It's $24 to $39 for a session. You play 5 times or 6 times, and then instead of joining pizza or something, you just donate a book, okay? Over time, or you're paying to help for the pro thing because everybody gets to keep their characters. It's just so that we kind of split it up that way. But honestly, if you want to, when you're playing Pathfinder, you'll find that you'll see something neat this other person is doing, and you'll try to figure out how can my character work with that, just like in D&D. Okay, so there'll be like a special forces team that starts to develop, which is it's an adventuring group. You're not an army. You're usually, most people don't think beyond, well, I'm going to get into 3 fights and I'm done. Well, there's actual role-playing skills in Pathfinder that are very important. There's social lore. There's all kinds of lore. There is society. There's diplomacy. Yeah. Even, stealth works very differently. The encounter system works very differently. What I'm trying to say is that your expectations for D&D, well, you can now expand upon them because there's so many options. There's so many options that honestly, they haven't been able to really nail down their world. And and I'm going to say right now that one of the things that's really cool about D&D is the world. Is the worlds, I would say. If you play 5th edition D&D, what you're really playing a lot of times is you're playing Forgotten Realms. You're playing Forgotten Realms with a different rule set, but you're playing Forgotten Realms. Now, what happens in a lot of role-playing sessions, right, which I've seen, is that the role-playing goes out the window because the mechanics take over, okay? But then if you slow it down, and I was watching Nonad talk about this, and I say his name a lot because the people I watch on YouTube are kind of limited. He says, well, when I took away the mechanics, everybody started role-playing more. Yeah, that's exactly right. They start role-playing more. Because then they start being more or less of a machine, a video game playing. Because that's what the mechanics have done to all our games in D&D and everything. Used to be, we all sat around the table and you kind of more talked about it. You roll dice, sure. But you talked about what you're going to do. You pass notes to the DM, and everybody kind of laughs, and we roll dice. Now, in Roll20 and other places, like when I'm online, I roll my dice out in the open, just blam. I don't think it's a really great idea all the time to roll your dice to yourself, because then it puts more trust on you. But also, there's more drama when you're rolling a D20 out in front of everybody, right? When you're just rolling that out there, and you say, and they get to see this thing gets like plus 12, plus 5, plus 8, right? And they go, oh my gosh, it's really great. It's great for them. Like also having penalties when they roll a 1 or do something spectacular when they roll a 20. So when they roll 1 and they have a weapon in their hand, a lot of times they have a roll again to see if they drop their weapon. If the weapon spindles off in the corner, they roll enough 1s, they can stab their person next to them. They can stab themselves for critical damage. All kinds of fun things. But that is experience over time. One of the things that I've noticed over the past little year, though, is how things have migrated and changed. Because this rule book, this is the best attempt at a product. It is like, it's 678 pages, or it's big. It's really, it's really big. But what it isn't is it isn't well edited. 638 pages plus some other, little pages. Yeah, but it's not well indexed. It's not well edited. It's not as good as Gary Gygax's DMG. It just isn't. And I have, and I've got what I've decided to do is I love these little books. I like them for all my role-playing games if they give them. Okay. By the way, pronunciation, bestiary. See? B-E-S, no A, bestiary, okay? But if you go through, this is Pathfinder's Monstrous Manual, right? The monsters are way different. They're described differently. The world of Glorania is very, very different, okay? So you have to take that in mind when you're playing. You're not playing 5th edition with different rules. You're playing a different world with different types of characters, different things that they can do, and different experiences which will be had. Sure, you can take okay. If you want to take an old D&D module, you want to convert it to Pathfinder 2, you got a couple weeks of hard work to do. You've just hours go by. You're going to convert those monsters. You're going to make them make sense, which is something that I've seen a lot of people just do. They just have a module, and we're going to play through that module, and then but it really won't matter because we're never going to see you again. So they just play through the module. But if you really want to have a good experience, play with the same people every week. Play with them, and then you're going to learn things about them. Some people, they play the same character no matter what character that they're playing, right? I mean, realistically, we've all had that experience. Play the same character. So it's the same person, just with different skins. And the guy who's a rogue really likes to play rogue, tries to play rogue as a wizard, tries to play rogue as a ranger, tries to play rogue as everything, right? The guy who's a chicken shit doesn't go out and, well, can we say, no, we shouldn't say swear words. But yeah, honestly, if we want to play a lot of times, we have people that all they do is they roll characters all day. They never play. You know, it's like the Magic card player or somebody who collects all the cards but doesn't really want to play. They just like to look at the, 10 years of backstory that they developed for this character. They never even played 5 minutes of a game, right? Because they're afraid now that they put all this effort in, the guy's going to die. Well, guess what? In role-playing games, your people may die. Probably going to die. At first level, you're probably going to die. And I'm sorry. That's just part of the game. It would be no fun if you knew you were going to win all the time. Okay? And so sometimes, and you just have to know how far to push it. You don't want to really do... TPK means total party kill, by the way. If you didn't know that, that's okay. But what they do they do something called hobo murder, which is they see a hobo, they stick it, they steal the guy's money, his shoes, everything off of him, and collect five experience points or something. Okay, now once in a while that hobo happens to be Conan because, well, that's just me, or a vampire or somebody. Why would he be out there? It's a magical world. Really, you have to discover your own economy and why things work the way they do, right? If you can have a magic economy with zombies, right, there would never be starvation. There would never be, because you have 24-hour farmers all the time. You have undead that you can command. They can go out and work for you. It becomes a part. It's almost like having an AI type of system, because there's no reason to work. Hardly any reason to work unless it's cheaper. Now, the Romans in the real world, they had steam machines. They really did, but it was cheaper to get a slave. So I want you to think about that when we go world building, and I will have a world building series with a couple authors that are really good at it. If you want to meet some good authors, Tracy Hickman, right? Obviously Tracy Hickman, Tad Williams, Brandon Sanderson. These are good world building kind of people. Okay, read their stuff. Then, because plagiarism is bad, but stealing is genius. Because if you try to write a module just right out of the box by yourself and it's your first thing, you're probably not going to make it. You're just not. So what we used to laugh at a lot is that we get our modules, right, and we knew how big the dungeon is, so we would take all the squares and we would explore every square of it, because that's how Gary Gygax used to write. Gygax used to write his module so that we knew where treasure was. If we left the floor, right, there's got to be treasure around here somewhere. Okay, because it was only so big. But now you can make the dungeons enormous if you want to. But I suggest that it's better for a small party to start off in a small town out in the sticks somewhere where everybody has a family. And sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, right? Right? So anyway, the things that I keep talking about and bringing up when I'm in front of my group, okay, everybody be prepared. So that means, hey, you're going to a session, it's just like going to somebody's house. Get there 15 minutes early, okay? Really, get there 15 minutes early. Bring something, okay? In this case, give the DM a tip, okay? It's $1 or $2 or whatever it is. When they're supporting it online and they're paying all the money towards it, you can help, okay? Because you have to think about it, like all the work that they go through. You might think that it's just reading and everything. No, it's understanding and comprehending what they're reading and what characters are involved in. And oh my gosh, I have to spend for a session. Typically, I'll spend 3 to 10 hours getting ready for that session. Okay, it might be a little bit spurts at a time, but it will be that way. So, because I have notes on all the characters, that what does this character really want to do? What has this person done in the past? What are they into? Okay, what kinds of things are they motivated? This person really wants a really nice sword. It's like, Johnny was a good boy. Johnny gets a flaming hammer? Is that what you want? Yeah, I want a flaming hammer. Yeah. Also, realize that if you always have a monotone voice when you're playing, then everybody sounds the same. It's very hard and very confusing for people to realize those characters. So take notes take notes down of what the characters sound like. Because if they sound like this, you'll know that this guy is the same guy.
But if he sounds like this, he's always talking like this could be somebody else, and they could be kind of shifty.
You may or may not have that talent right now, but you'll develop that talent over a period of time. This is role-playing, not rolling the dice and seeing what the action is, then telling the DM. If you want to do something everybody appreciates, write down what you're going to do. Don't just sit there until you watch everybody else do it. You know, you've got to know what you're going to do in your turn. And that just speeds everything up, because realistically, you only got 3 hours. You probably got 3 hours, and then everybody gets tired. They want to go home. Okay. Or if, because as you get older, that's just the way it is. You just, your time, your recreation time is precious to you. So to hold that precious time, respect it by being prepared, being on point, knowing what you want to do. Speaking up, right? So sometimes there'll be people that are leading their entire groups because the other people just sit there and they don't even think about what their character wants, or they're afraid to talk. This is the one time when it's okay to interrupt. All right. That's something also that's different about Pathfinder. You can you can say, I'm delaying my action, which is I'm going to delay one action, or I'm going to reduce my initiative until I take it back. So you can jump in. So it's important that you talk. And this is what role-playing is about. It's about you are a character. You are a actual living, breathing person who has all these things. You don't just have your character. You might have a familiar, but your familiar isn't your robot. It's a breathing thing that you love, or that is your advisor, or may not love you, or maybe your advisor but dislikes you. Who knows? But I've seen so many people take their animals and just use them as their summoned monsters, and it really pisses me off. So at the point of they don't even consider that they're role playing, right? You want to play anything that you want to play in D&D, you can play it in Pathfinder better. Just better. You're going to have more actions. You're going to have more activities. You can do... Did you know, for example, in Pathfinder, you can cast a ritual. You don't even have to be... You can be 0 level and cast a ritual. Just get enough people together, and you can make that ritual. And it could be a 9th level spell, but it could be a ritual. You just have to know the ritual. So you have to study where you're going to go and what you're going to do. Okay? The world is open to you. And so, I am not known at. I'm oftentimes called Grog, Captain Proton, all those other things. I hope to see you in a convention soon. Till then, we're just going to have to hang in there. You want to impress me? Bring me some pizza. Bring a Coke to the DM, right? Go do something like that. That means more to us than all the stuff in all the world. And no, better yet, instead of knowing that, I'm no 3 wishes. And you'll understand what that means in just a little bit. As I said, I'll see you on the other end, okay? And if you need some help with something, we all do. Leave a message in the comment. We'll see what we can do for you. If you want some rules or something, you wanna mix some systems together, I'll talk to you. Yeah. And if you want to leave a like and subscribe, remember, leave a like. Leave. You. Leave a like, okay? All right. See you soon.